Today we're starting a new topic. It's called ratios, rates and time. This topic is not easy to understand. You do need to practice this work or you will not do very well in your next assessment. Okay, so the first part of this is the ratios section. So working on our ratios. A ratio is a comparison of different quantities, so you'll have different numbers in the same units. So for instance, you might get given a ratio which looks like this. It's got this colon in the middle of the two numbers, or there might be more than two numbers, and the way you read it is 9 to 4 or 9 is to 4. Okay, that's how we read it. What does it mean? Well, it means that 9 centimetres is compared to 4 centimetres, or 9 metres is compared to 4 metres. It might be 9 kilograms compared to 4 kilograms. So you can attach the same units of whatever you're dealing with on the end. The ratio itself does not have units, but when we interpret the meaning of it, we can put the same unit on the end. Okay, now equivalent ratios, it's like equivalent fractions. They're ratios that have the same relative comparison. So for instance, if we have 5 to 2 and 15 to 6, they are equivalent ratios. Now the reason for that is if I get the 5, to get to 15 I am timesing by 3, and to get from 2 to 6 I also am timesing by 3. So if you're multiplying by that same number, you are getting an equivalent ratio. Alright, now to look at a few examples. This first question asks you to find the ratio, write the ratio, of the shaded to the unshaded parts. Make sure you underline what they're asking for. It's really important because you can accidentally do the wrong things. You're not really paying attention to the question or the words in the question. So if we look at this diagram here, the shaded parts, the first thing they say, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 shaded parts. So we write a 6 down. The second thing they're talking about is unshaded. So we'll do our 2 dots, our colon. Now let's count the unshaded parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can write a 6 down there as well. Now, sometimes in the question they'll say simplify the ratio. They haven't said that here. So I'm going to write mine as 6 to 6, or 6 is to 6. In the answers in the textbook for these sorts of questions, they might have simplified it. We're going to do with simplifying in a minute. So at the moment, we're going to answer the question and just write the ratio, 6 to 6. All right, now let's look at the next diagram. It's been divided up into 8 equal sectors. So we're now going to count the shaded ones. 1, 2, write it down, colon. Now we're going to count the unshaded parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the answer to my question. That can't be marked wrong in a test. I have answered it. It may not be simplified, but that's okay. All right, now the next one, we're dealing with equivalent ratios. So I need you to draw the arrow towards where the empty space is, like this one. Okay, so because my empty space is over here on the right, I'm going to draw an arrow from my second number here towards my empty space, the second number there. Okay? Now, after that, you're going to have a look and draw arrows the same direction for the other 2 numbers. So the first number here is going to the first number here. Now, because we actually have those numbers, we can actually see what's going on here. So what have we done to 2 to get an answer of 8? We have times by 4. So because we times by 4 up there, we're going to times by 4 down here. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. And just write in red pen what your answer is in that space. So let's try the same with the next one. Here's my empty space. My arrow is going to go towards the empty space. But this time it's the first number in the ratio. So I have to come from the first number in the ratio here. So I'm going that direction. Now let's look at the other number. So the second number here is going to the second number here. Now, what have I done to 7 to get an answer of 35? I've times by 5. So we're going to write that on. And then we're going to come down here and we're going to do the same thing, times by 5, because that's how you get an equivalent ratio. So we do 4 times 5, and that will give me 20, and I'll write that in with my red pen. All right, this one, we're over here. Okay, now it's the first number we're trying to fill in. So I'm going to go from my first number here and draw my arrow towards my empty space. And I'm going to do the same with the other one. Okay, so the second number here is going to go to the second number here. And I'm going to the left this time with my arrows. So let's look at the blue one. What have I done going this direction, remember? What have I done to 36 to get an answer of 9? Well, I got a smaller thing, so I must have been dividing. So 36 divided by what gives me 9? It's 4. Let's do the same down here. I'm going to divide by 4. All right, let's read it backwards. 20 divided by 4 gives me 5. Okay, let's look at the next one. So here's my empty space. It's in the second number. So I'm going to draw from my second number here towards my empty space. And I'm going to do the same up the top here. I'm going from here over to the left this time. All right, let's have a look at what happened with the blue ones. What have I done to 3 to get an answer of 12? I've times by 4. So down the bottom here, I'm going to be doing the same, timesing by 4. So we have 1 times by 4, and you'll get 4. So these need practice. So make sure with the homework you practice it. I want all my arrows drawn in. I want what you're doing written on all the arrows, just like I've done. All right, now we're up to the simplifying ratios. So to simplify a ratio, we're going to look at all the numbers in the ratio, and we're going to find the highest common factor. That's the highest number that divides evenly into all of them, and we're going to divide by that number to every one of the numbers in the ratio. So let's see how it works. So if I was doing this question over here, I'm simplifying. Let's just move over here a bit. So I'm looking for a number that divides evenly into 10 and 100, and that would be 10. So I'm going to write under here, divide by 10, divide by 10. And you can use your calculator to do these divisions. So 10 divided by 10 gives you 1. And 100 divided by 10 gives you 10. That's your answer. Now, you can use your calculator, fraction key, to do these, but only if you've got 2 numbers in the ratio. So over here, you will not be able to do it because there's 3 numbers in that ratio. So it's only when you've got 2 numbers. So this is how we do it. You get your calculator and we press the fraction key and we're going to put in 10 over 100. So I'm just going to put it in as 10, down arrow, 100, and then press equals. Now the calculator gives you 1 over 10. We are not going to write 1 over 10. Right, so when you put it in the calculator, when you put it in as, I'll just write calculator down here first. So when you press it in as 10 over 100 equals, it will give you 1 over 10. But you write it as a ratio, so you're going to write 1 dot 10. Okay, so we can use the calculator, but you've got to be careful not to write your answer as 1 over 10. It's 1 is to 10. Make sure the colon is there. All right, let's look at the next one. I'm going to do this without the calculator and with the calculator. So looking at 18 and 12, the highest number that divides into both of them is 6. So I'm going to divide both of these numbers by 6. Okay, so if I do that, I'm going to get an answer of, you can use your calculator for this bit, 18 divided by 6 is 3. And 12 divided by 6 is 2. So that's the answer. If we did it with the calculator, we'll just write the calculator part down the side. You will press 18 over 12 equals. It will give you 3 over 2, but you will write the answer as 3 dot 2. Okay, so let's try the next one. 87 to 87. Well, obviously we're dividing both of these by 87. And if we do that, you can use your calculator to do the division, or you should know it anyway. 87 divided by 87 is 1. 87 divided by 87 is 1. Your answer is 1 to 1. Now, if you use your calculator on this one, be careful. Right, so when you're using the calculator on this one, you're going to press this in as 87 over 87 equals. Now, the calculator is going to give you an answer of 1. Well, that's not your answer, okay, because it has to be a ratio. So if you get an answer of 1, right, you're going to take that number and you're going to write it first. Well, you still need something else to write next to it. So that's when you write down 1 on the end. Okay, so if you don't trust yourself on that one, do it this way. All right, because you've got to end up with, you start with 2 things in a ratio, you've got to finish with 2 things in a ratio. All right, the next one has 3 things, so you can't use your calculator on the fraction key for this. You've got to look at 8, 12 and 20 and work out what number goes into all of them. And if you think about it, that would be 4. Then divide all 3 of them by 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And that's it, you're finished. So you cannot use the calculator on that one. The next one, now these look like they're going to be pretty tricky, but it doesn't matter if they've got fractions, we can still do it using the calculator. I'm just going to show you an easier way on the fraction ones. So when you put it into your calculator, it's better if you put it in as 1/3 divided by 2/5. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean. If we were doing it normally, like that, right, if we were doing 1/3 over 2/5, we would go, okay, the fraction key's there. Now I want a fraction on the top, so I'm going to press the fraction key again. Look what happened. So I'm going to put 1, down arrow, 3. Now that's for the 1/3. Now we're going to go down to the bottom, bring the cursor down to the bottom, and now we want to put in 2/5. So we want another fraction down there, don't we? So press the fraction key again, and now we can put 2, down arrow, 5. All right, so that's really what you're doing. Press equals, and it gives you 5 over 6, which we write down as 5 to 6. Now you can do it as I just said a minute ago with the divided by. So let's do it again. Instead of doing it like that, I'm going to press the fraction key. I'm going to do 1 over 3. Right arrow so that we're out of that fraction key now. Now we're going to press divided by, and now a fraction key again. And this time I'm going to press in 2 over 5. Right. And then we press equals. And again we get 5 over 6. So you can do it like I just told you, but it gets a bit fiddly putting the fraction on the top and another fraction on the bottom, or you can put it in like that and still give you the same answer, 5 to 6. So I want you to try this next question, pause the video, have a go at this one yourself and see if you get what I'm about to get. Okay, so let's have a look. So I'm going to press it in as 2 over 5. Right arrow, so I'm out of the fraction key first. Then I'm pressing divided by, because it's a bit easy for you to do it that way. Fraction key again, 3 over 10. And then we can just press equals. 4 over 3. So that means instead of 4 over 3, you're writing 4 to 3. And that's that one done. Okay, this next one over here we're doing is, let's move it slightly closer. All right, this next one is 3/4 to 7/16. So let's put it in. So we're putting in 3/4, 3 down arrow 4, right arrow out of that fraction key. Then we're going to press divided by, and then we're going to press fraction key again. 7 over 16, and press equals. 12 over 7. So the answer is 12 to 7. Okay, so we're going to come back in the next video and do a bit more practice on this work, because practice makes perfect.